Okay, and we're live. Hey, friends, this is Ernie, Trader of Futures, and this is the Bitcoin Live and Let Die show. Someday I'll explain what that exactly means, but you're allowed to use artistic license to figure it out for yourself. Today I want to talk about institutional money. And is institutional money flowing into Bitcoin? Well, the short answer is no, it is not. But if you were to read all the mainstream media rags, particularly things like Fortune, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNBC, all of them are pushing hard. Look, they all have articles talking about how institutional money is on the footstep of piling into Bitcoin. Why are they doing this? Why are they making essentially what is a farce of the truth? It doesn't make any sense. There is no evidence that institutional money is pouring in. If there were institutional money pouring in, there would be a big sea change in the way things are transpiring, especially over the past few weeks with the SEC. One of the principal reasons for, or at least according to Hester Pierce, the SEC commissioner, one of the principal reasons why they did not approve the Winklevoss ETF is because there are not institutions in there providing the kind of liquidity, transparency, discipline, lack of, stemming of volatility, the stability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why are these mainstream media rags lying to us or trying to portray something that simply is not true? Or it's not that they're lying. This is kind of like what, the definition of is. They're not necessarily lying. What they're doing is they're trying to, I don't know, influence the reality of the situation. You know what I'm going to do? I got to turn on the lights and hold on a sec. There's one light. There's the second light. All right. That's much better. We're no longer in the dark. So I had a couple of articles. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll just go and search these on our own. And we'll start by first, hold on. We'll share the screen. I wish this were faster, but it's not. Let's bring the questions in line here. Bitcoin is going to surprise me. Surprise what? I'm not surprised by anything. If money comes in, then I'll start turning bullish. All right. A lot of people mistake my bearishness for some kind of total disdain for the technology. I think the technology is sound. I think that it's way before its time. I don't think that society is ready for it. I also believe that there are a lot of people that want to believe that we're already in a decentralized economy or that it can somehow disrupt the current economy and take over. They really want to believe it. They really do. But it's not the reality. I deal in reality 100% of the time. Well, that's not necessarily true. I try to deal with it 100% of the time. And the reality is that Bitcoin currently has no good use case. The cryptos are 98% of them are frauds, scams perpetrated upon people that are less sophisticated, let's just say less sophisticated investors. And now most of them are paying the price for it. Some of them have made a lot of money on the backs of unsuspecting people. And that fraud continues with the FBI. There's something on the order of 130, 140 cases where they're closing down ICOs and other scammers. The SEC, this is what they see. In the DOJ and other agencies that are trying to get a handle on this malfeasance, that is what they see. And under that environment, they're doing their duty, the duty that they are bound to do, and that is to create stable markets and protect consumers. Under that auspices, under that charge, under that direction, they have no choice but to disregard or turn down these ETF applications. The decentralization is happening slowly. I would argue that it's not happening at all. Sure, you're getting a few anecdotal areas in the world, particularly in Asia, that are adopting Bitcoin here and there, but there is no decentralized economy right now. There simply isn't. So many services are being decentralized. You can already do cloud storage and rendering at 10 times cheaper on decentralized systems. Well, that, again, an anecdotal case. And I understand that, right now cloud computing has probably reached its ability to scale, and that a decentralized system will probably work better. But that still means that somebody has to own that. It's not going to. I would like to see the businesses that are actually doing cloud computing and this 10 times cheaper on decentralized systems. And who is it cheaper for? I'm not aware of it. I found this quote and thought you would be the only one to understand it. Disrupting Amazon Web Services. All right. So I guess that goes back to the potential that cloud storage and rendering as a decentralized service is going to take over Amazon Web Services, their SW or M3 or S3 web services. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to happen, how they're going to manage it, and how it's going to take over Amazon. That is very unclear to me. I'd like to see it. I mean, please show me. Give me a link. Bitcoin, 0.44% has broken out of a falling wedge, according to the textbooks. The price, yeah. Keep in mind that the textbooks were largely written through the broker narrative, designed to make you lose. The price is expected to increase the opening of the wedge, which would bring the price to just under 13. Like what? I'm sorry, that again, a huge dream. I think you should also look at the fact that on the upside, Ernie, you seem to focus too much only on the bad facts. I'm looking for the good facts. All right? Show me the proof. I would be more than happy to analyze it. The 1 year BTC chart is a giant pump and dump. Joe and James are trading in dreams. And that's why they all huddling like headless chicken. SEC did a great job keeping the XIV trade safe for consumers. That's the VIX. Is that weed tent? Yes. I see a little red light at the, yeah. In the case of rendering, look at OTOY. They are ORC rendering cloud on AWS. On AWS, so you're saying that AWS, somehow this is a decentralized system? I'm losing it there. And now they build RNDR. Okay, it's running on AWS. That's Amazon Web Services. And it is a decentralized system. We've had decentralized systems for a long time. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a centralized service for a particular company. We're talking about a decentralized economy. I've heard you only look at volume. Why so much fundamental interest on Bitcoin use cases, Mr. V? I don't only look at volume. So that's not true. However, volume is by far the most powerful indicator. Volume is the reason why price is where it is. Price is advertising the supply and demand and flow of volume. The fundamentals basically tell you where the sentiment is, whether we're bullish or bearish in a particular time frame. It also lets us identify opportunity. The technicals simply model those instances or those opportunities. Technicals are not a strategy. Let's get that clear. Technicals are not a strategy. I found this quote and thought you would be the only one to understand it. All right, let's see. I think, is this a repeat? Oh yeah, you already said that, the falling wedge crap. I don't see a falling wedge. I don't, maybe if you look at the big picture and somehow you can draw some lines and make it look like a falling wedge, but it's total crap. And this is their decentralized version. Like I said, all cloud services are distributed, not necessarily decentralized. They do have a great deal of centralization, but they are not truly decentralized. Ernie, sentiment is silver, circa 2013, 2014 exactly. No, Render is not running on AWS. Okay. I thought you just said that. I thought you said it was. Ernie, how much Bitcoin do you own? Not much. I sold it all. I think I have a few, maybe 0.2 of a Bitcoin across various accounts. All right, their old system is on Amazon Web Services. RNDR is fully decentralized. Fine. Give me a link. Show me what you're talking about. Let's say that the CBOE ETF gets approved. That doesn't necessarily mean that institutions would suddenly flood the market, right? No, it doesn't. I mean, the cryptoverse really thought the same thing about futures, and they were 100% wrong about that. There's nothing really stopping institutions from getting in the market right now. They can get in it through OTC markets. They can get in it through futures markets. They're not getting into it right now because it makes no business sense for them. They're still going to take their time and wait for a reason to invest. Yeah, and you have to remember that the institutions have clients. Those clients basically pay their bills and invest their money in those institutions. The institutions then have a fiduciary responsibility to treat that money with respect and be able to follow whatever precipice that they've or disclosure or idea that they're trading the money for. I mean, they're not going to. I mean, there would have to be funds that were specifically chartered to invest in crypto, and they don't exist right now. There is no business case for it. Any update on coins you like? I remember you said you don't like any. Therefore, there are no updates. Keep in mind that it's not that I don't like coins, it's that there are so many of them that are frauds, that are scams, that were nothing more than money grabs, probably 98% of them, that it is not even worth looking for the other 2%. That's not going to make the market. And in the meantime, all these other crap coins that are out there, they're muddying everything. They need to go away. We need a big crash to push them out. And for cloud storage, 10 times cheaper, look at SIA.tech. Okay, again, all of these are sort of anecdotal things. What kind of market share do they have? You can already host cloud for... All right, I am done talking about this. It's an anecdotal case. I doubt that they're competitive at all. They simply don't exist. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure that there is business. They're trying this. But as far as I know, there are no enterprises engaged in these decentralized systems. Why big cooperation will want to deal with this market? Wall Street institutions will pour all their money into Bitcoin when the ETF is approved. No evidence of this. And what do you think of John McAfee? I think he is a shyster. He's interested in one thing, and that's John McAfee. These are startups. Of course they're startups. You know how many startups there are? It means nothing. The market share is in progress. It's a multi-year process. Of course it is. Again, we're nowhere close to this kind of adoption, period. It's just as simple as that. All right. Let's take a look at what we have. All right, here's Forbes. At what level do institutional buyers join the Bitcoin rally? All right, that was just yesterday. Bitcoin bulls are losing control again, and the Bitcoin price is back. Britain and the ECB want to monitor trade for money laundering suspicions. That is pretty significant there. Most countries are reticent or hesitant to get into Bitcoin or even introduce any kind of regulatory stuff or relax their laws. Most countries. I didn't say all, I said most. Bitcoin ETFs, latest developments in a regulatory context. Let's see what that has to say. That was just 3 hours ago. Here's a look at the latest developments and expert opinions on Bitcoin. I love it when they say expert opinions. The cryptocurrency market regulations and the arrival of Bitcoin ETF. Just when Bitcoin price rallies in the last 2 weeks was expected in the last 2 weeks to bring some optimism back into the market. The market correction in the last 2 days has caused the world's largest cryptocurrency to lose nearly 5%. Currently at press time, Bitcoin is trading at 76.02. Actually, right now, it is trading at about 50 points lower than that. $50 lower than that, about 75.60. It's trying to get down below 7,400. There are whales that are propping it up the best they can. Earlier this month, around the 15th of July, when Bitcoin was trading at a nervous breakdown level of 6,000, the bulls took charge, and in a week's time, now when they say the bulls took charge, what do they mean by that? What they mean by that is just a few select whales, and I mean a very few. And they coordinate to push the market higher. And you can see that. You can see it very plainly that they coordinated around a systematic pump of the price. The price moves up, 5, 6, 700 points within a 10 or a 15-minute span. This is not a bunch of bulls that are deciding that they're going to start getting into the market. I mean, they make it sound as if there's some sort of widespread bullishness now into the market. And that's simply not true. However, one of the key reasons has been, okay, let's see right here. There are several factors behind this up move, like the pumping of institutional money in the cryptocurrency space. There is no evidence of a pumping of institutional money into the space. The positivity surrounding the arrival of Bitcoin ETF, South Korea's regulatory watchdog forming a new... And please show me the institutions that are saying we're pumping money into the crypto space in an anticipation of the ETF being approved. There are no such players. This is just total crap. All right, I've had enough of that article. Let's go back. Please tell me. Point to some evidence. Show me what institutions with institutional cash are pouring their money in, chasing after an ETF. All of these reports are full of crap. You notice that they don't cite any sources. They just say it. I mean, is this the new standard for journalism? I guess it is. I mean, it's more fake news. There are no sources that are claiming that they're pushing money into this space. None. Okay, so this person is just not satisfied with my putting down their arguments. Wanted to cite all of these startups as if they're real and as if enterprises are actually buying into their services. They're not. You say that you wish real applications would be built, but then you are shown explicit cases. Look, there's been hundreds and hundreds of applications built. I haven't seen any rise up out of the ashes or produce any kind of real momentum. Just haven't seen them. A real investor should be flexible of mind. I'm flexible when I see proof. All right. So anecdotal evidence is not proof. Show me the numbers. Show me businesses that are actually investing in these services and doing something with them. Please. That's all I want. All right, and then he goes away. The whales cannot pump Bitcoin forever. And one of the problems that the whales are actually having is the, well, why don't I kind of demonstrate this? So again, this is going to require me to share screen. Takes a little time to do that. All right. Let's show you one of the reasons why the whales are having such a hard time pumping right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at BTC shorts. And these are the number of shorts that are in the market. Now, one thing you'll notice, this is a relatively short time frame. Let's go out a little bit. So if we look closely here, here's where the bubble came up and burst. Here's where we had our low point and another low point here. In order for shorts to really be triggered, in other words, for them to be squeezed, they need to be up here somewhere. They need to be up here somewhere. And they're not going up there. As a matter of fact, they're going in the opposite direction. Until we get enough shorts, there's not going to be enough people out there to squeeze, to push them out of their positions. We're going in the wrong direction. You see that? We're going in the wrong direction. Shorts need to be up here. This is where reversals happen. All right. Let's go back to the comments. Need to make it a little bit bigger. I need to add my glasses. All right. As a comment, JFK, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi were all taken out when trying to move away from the central bank system. We are foolish to even think the BTC has an iota of a chance. Well, I am not saying that they don't have a chance. What I am saying, though, is that the central bank system is not going to just sit idly by while cryptocurrencies take away any of their business. They're going to do everything they can to squash it or to obfuscate it or to take it over. So that's going to happen. So it will have to be in a moment of weakness, relative weakness on the bank side before crypto and decentralized economies take over. That's way, way, way down the road. I stand by the only Bitcoin pumping is from miners trying to keep profits alive. I would say that it's from miners. There are also whales that are involved and exchanges. Of course, a lot of these whales actually own exchanges. You know, when volatility is coming down, transactions are low, they're losing a lot of money. So it's in the interest of these whales that happen to own majority positions in these exchanges to pump things up. Hey, Ernie, do you think Trump is interested in Bitcoin? I think that he's interested in the idea of cryptocurrency, but it's interesting because Hester Pierce is a Trump appointee to the SEC. Now, I don't know if he appointed her because she has a positive stance on Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. I really don't know. So, and Trump really hasn't come out and said anything about cryptocurrencies. Crypto kitties, yeah, well, that's a bit, yeah, that's one of the most successful applications out there yet. Probably more successful than those rendering and cloud computing ideas. Go visit their website and learn more about them. I have given you the links twice. I will. As a matter of fact, we'll do it right now. Again, startups, I'm fine with that if they actually get real customers and start showing the efficacy of a decentralized service. They'll do well. We have to go back and find the links here. OTOY. So I'm assuming that I have to go to CoinMarketCap for this. No? The render token, which is RNDR. So distributed GPU rendering. I guess they have to use those GPUs for something. All of those that are getting discarded by all the miners that are. All right, let me share this with you. See what the roadmap says, where they're at. All right, so they are at the very, very, very beginning of their startup. I mean, they don't even expect to be in beta until after the summer, and everything beyond that is TBD. So that's fine. You can find a million of these out there. This is not proof. Don't you understand? This is not proof of anything. I'm just looking for some more. All right, let's go here. So I went to the site. What I see is a TBD. Not this is just. I mean, look, this is for believers, and you can believe all you want that this is evidence of a decentralized economy, but it is not. 2030 has been accepted into the FCA sandbox and will conduct one of the UK's first equity token offerings. All right, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that. I have switched from Dropbox to that decentralized cloud provider personally for what it's worth. Good. I'm glad. Support things that you believe in. Lego Wifey. That's an interesting name. I've been watching your videos for over a year now. At first, it was just entertainment, watching you to get red in the face and telling people that BTC was not all that it seemed. But I bought and sold and rebought my 1 Bitcoin on your advice and recently sold my 1.5 Bitcoin when it hit 8,000. We'll rebuy again if it gets under that. All right. So I've seen there's something in your investigating with critical thinking method. So as a complete noob, what books should I read to get started with trading? Now, there's a good question. You know, I'm not here to tell you how to make millions off of Bitcoin. I actually have a crypto fund. If you're interested in doing or working with that, you may be interested just to know that I do have a crypto fund. I am investing in this. I plan on making a lot of money off of Bitcoin and crypto in the future. I find it is a principal part of the fund, but I'm also investing in other things. I would like to get your coaching, but I want to lay some groundwork so I don't waste your time with newbie stupid questions. No, actually, with the coaching, that is all part of that. But I could, you could start by looking at certain authors and books, and the ones that I always recommend are the triumvirate, right? Well, now it's sort of the quadumvirate by Nassim Taleb, and that is The Black Swan, Anti-Fragile, which is systems that gain from disorder, Fooled by Randomness, and then the fourth book that he recently published, Skin in the Game. Those 4 books, I think, are essentials to any trader to get a true view of how the world actually works and how markets work. They are allegories. They don't talk about trading explicitly, but they are, in fact, the best trading books that I've ever seen. Another good series of books are by Jack D. Schwager, called Market Wizards, where he interviews all the strongest and most successful traders in the world. And one thing that you'll find out about all these successful traders is that they're not doing anything even remotely close to what the majority of people are doing out there in trading. All right, so that's what I would do, Mr. Wifey or Ms. Wifey. Do you think the central banks are 100% in bed with the U.S. military administration? There's no evidence of that. Do you see that skeptical article from Paul Krugman in the New York Times. Well, I haven't read Krugman for a long time, mostly because most of what he says is just total garbage. He is the most idiotic genius Nobel recipient I have ever seen besides Obama. But let's check out Paul Krugman. Let's see. I would assume that I have to put in crypto or Bitcoin or something like that. You have a link that you can give me. No, please look at Q&T. Way more investment potential. All right. So Krugman, the most, oh, Trump's supreme betrayal. All right. Transaction cost and tethers. Why I am crypto skeptic. Beyond the techno bubble and libertarian derp, what problems does this stuff solve? All right, so this is going to be kind of interesting. I'll have to read over this and see what he actually has to say. I am not particularly, it's going to take a little while to go through here. So he's apparently skeptical about Tether. So what will happen? Let's see. Cryptocurrencies, by contrast, have no backstop, no tether to reality. Their value depends entirely on self-fulfilling expectations. I agree with that. It's very difficult for me to agree with Paul Krugman, by the way, which means that total collapse is a real possibility. I agree with that as well. If speculators were to have a collective moment of doubt, suddenly fearing that Bitcoin are worthless, well, Bitcoins would become worthless. That I'm not so totally on board with. I think that the value of Bitcoin and cryptos can go down significantly, but I think there will always be people out there that will find them useful. What will happen? I think it's more likely than not, partly because, will that happen? I think it's more likely than not, partly because of the gap between the messianic rhetoric of crypto and, yeah, that's a really good, I like that expression. The messianic rhetoric of crypto and the much more mundane real possibilities. That is, there might be a potential equilibrium in the Bitcoin, although probably not in other cryptocurrencies. Okay, I agree with that as well. Remain in use mainly for black market transactions and tax evasion. I don't think Bitcoin is really going. See, I think that's where he's wrong. I don't think Bitcoin. I think Monero is probably a better choice for black market transactions and tax evasion. But that equilibrium, if it exists, would be hard to get from here once the dream of blockchain futures dies. The disappointment will probably collapse the whole thing. All right. So looking at that, let's see, we can go into this last paragraph. He says, so that's why I'm a crypto skeptic. Could I be wrong? Of course, which he usually is wrong, but he makes some good points here. I don't believe that Bitcoin, though, is going to be the last bastion for those people looking to evade taxes and to do illicit things. It would be stupid because from a digital forensics or crypto forensics point of view, it doesn't provide a whole lot of anonymity. But if you want to argue that I'm wrong, please answer the question: what problem does cryptocurrency solve? Don't just try to shout down the skeptics with a mixture of technobabble and libertarian derp. So I do think that decentralization does solve a lot of different problems. But I think that the route that we're going, this sort of uniform decentralization, does not really end up solving the problem. A uniform governance model doesn't work. A decentralized governance model, I think, might work. But that's going to have to evolve over time. Please look at Q&T, way more investment potential. I'm not interested in any specific crypto, but we'll look at it just because you asked. QNT. QNY. Yeah, I'm not sure what QNT is. Render is decentralizing their own existing business. That's the point. OTOY is the leading cloud rendering provider, and they are moving to full decentralization, PDP. This is not proof? No, because it's a startup. They are moving. They haven't proven anything. It's not proof. And even if they start business and then they start garnering customers, I'm still not going to say it's proof until they've actually shown some growth potential. So an enterprise that is cutting edge is moving all of its business to a decentralized network. All right, so this is somebody with some vision, taking a huge risk, and hopefully they'll make it work. And I say, kudos to them. But you do not see all the enterprises or a majority or even a minority of enterprises even entertaining this. What do you think about coins that say that they are backed by gold or silver? I think using them, that term is uneducated. Yeah. But, sure, you can back them by gold, but the big question then is, how do you do redemption? All right, sounds like your standards of proof are off. No, I just need some proof. A startup and a company moving their stuff to decentralized, what does that mean by decentralized? Is not enough information. Yes, Market Wizards is priceless. Do you think that BTC was only made for a pump and dump and no other reason? No. I think that the people that made Bitcoin and decentralized cryptocurrencies actually have a vision, and they think that they're solving a problem. I think that problem is real. The idea is sound. The implementation is flawed. So I don't think that it was designed initially to be some kind of massive pump and dump scheme that they can just churn over and over and over again. So you continue on. I don't understand the purpose of this technology in hands of banks. Isn't the purpose of blockchain is to break away from banks, to not rely on, well, that's right. It's not to rely on any central authority. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a bank or a series of banks or a large number of banks can't all participate in some kind of blockchain for transactional use. Maybe there's some kind of centralized or decentralized network that can manage all banks' transactionality and also keep them transparent. So, I can see that in my head, but I can't think, I'm sure that there are all kinds of holes in that business model. Ernie, is Bitcoin just a tradable commodity to you? There will be no currency revolution. Well, right now, that's all it is a tradable commodity at this moment. And it has, certain attractive qualities, good volatility, halfway decent liquidity. It has a cash price. It also has a futures price. So we can set up arbitrage. We can set arbitrage across exchanges as well, but that's much more unreliable. Fluffy Pony said in a recent interview that a person would be stupid to use Monero for tax evasion purposes. And he probably has some very good reason for that, which I'm not aware of. And so I'll defer to Fluffy Pony, and I'll want to find out why. Someone's saying, get lost to Devil Touch. Get lost. You want confirmation bias on how you think. Contrarian thinkers are really popular, but at least they are thinking. See, look, I would say kudos to Devil Touch for, trying to point out some ideas that are contrary to what I'm saying. And they deserve further investigation and keeping an eye on these particular businesses, but they are anecdotal at best. All right. And this is part of the problem that a lot of people have in this industry. And to your point, Chuck, that, not Chuck, to Dominic, that there is a lack of critical thinking, that people are not looking at these things in a skeptical manner. They're not using their logic, their reason. They're not actually investigating these things, looking at the big picture, how it all fits in, what are the possibilities. All right, and then being real about it. That's pretty much it. Dominic Amerlo, get real. You guys are not the contrarians. Everyone is currently thinking that this can't work. You guys are not contrarians by far. There's not like a camp of contrarians and non-contrarians. I'm contrarian to virtually any new technology, any new idea. I want to, I take the stand of, look, I want to believe in it, but you have to prove it to me. Show me. Show me the money. Show me the truth. All right, we're getting a little bit of a battle in here in the comment section. So Dominic replies back to Devil, not in this space, dude. You all think you deserve to be driving Lambos because you invested and think you're smarter than the current system. Well, guess what? You're not as smart, or you're not smart. They probably just, look, there's a lot of really smart people that are involved in crypto that are developing a lot of very cool and very clever technology. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has or will be used. There's lots of great things that have been developed, but the best things ever developed don't always make it into the market. In my view, most of the cryptos that are out there are, besides the fact that they're frauds, where those that may be skating on the edge are essentially solutions looking for a problem, for problems that don't exist. All right? So until there is a true need, a true problem that exists, and then that solution can easily fill that space and then provide a seamless solution. Even if it isn't seamless, even if it is clunky at first, but solves all these problems, that's great. But all I've seen is things that try to solve some real problems, but then introduce a whole set of new problems. So that tells me that in terms of maturity, we're not anywhere close. But then when I think about this, Bitcoin's been around for nine years, right? Almost 10. And up to this point, it still hasn't found how to get over this clunkiness. And so that makes me even more skeptical. Doesn't mean that it's completely outside the realm of possibilities. It just means that it hasn't proven anything yet. Are you a startup investor? If so, you should know that most will fail. I see people in love with tokens, and what do you think? Yeah. That's the other thing. You cannot get in love with any of these technologies. Once you get in love with them, your brain becomes clouded. Your emotions start ruling your rational thought. All right. So you got to look. Not only do you have to look at the technology and the way you think about what you're thinking about that technology. But at the same time, you need to then step back and look at the way you're thinking. You need to think about what you're thinking. All right. And that's where most people, that's the trap that most people fall into, that they don't do that. All right. Now a backslap from Devil Touch to Dominic Merlo. Sounds like you have a problem. It's getting a little nasty now. You automatically assume that I'm here for the Lambos. Sounds like you want to hear someone scratch your bias of how all the crypto stuff is crud. All right. You guys can go back and forth. I'm not going to read any more of these. When the whales will not be able to hold up Bitcoin price anymore from crushing. Lego Wifey is because I've made a Lego business here in Hong Kong. Wow, that's interesting. How can learn more about this crypto fund? You can contact me directly. I can get you in touch with the fund manager. Although I am involved in the management, I'm really the fund operator. So just contact me. The best way to contact me is at Ernie at traderfutures.com. All right. Ernie, why on earth does Bitcoin even need an ETF? Well, an ETF does provide a little bit more stability, some regulatory control. It also provides access to some people who are maybe a little shy or maybe not as technically savvy as what is needed or required to get into, Bitcoin, the cash position and exchanges and dealing with all of that, or even getting into futures. So an ETF definitely would provide easier access for the average trader. Governments are in the pockets of the central banks, like duh. They create war for profit. Some of them do. Murder millions. Some governments do. Mostly socialist governments are the ones that are murdering millions. Bitcoin is an annoying mosquito at this stage. Squashing it would be easy if they want to. That I don't know about. I don't know how easy it would be to squash Bitcoin at this point, only because the ecosystem and the infrastructure and then the network is pretty large. Probably the largest network, decentralized network in human history. Now that is going to be very, very difficult to squash. Now, can governments make it render it basically useless for most people? Yes. Gold needs an ETF because it's hard to store. Anyone can buy Bitcoin and access it from a smartphone. Any chance Hedera Hashgraph and its applications will be a game changer in the crypto world? Well, they just recently came out with a press release, and they're starting to talk about some of their advancements and progress. They're talking about doing an ICO and introducing. I keep on getting like this call from Russia, and it comes in just for a moment, then goes away. Isn't that weird? Ernie, run for president. There's no way my background check would allow me to run for president. And I'm not like a masochist. So anyways, we're getting up near the end of the show. So again, I am not discounting any valid attempts to try to create a decentralized application. I'd love to see it, and I'd love to see further adoption, and I'd love to see people build business models around that. What I am saying is that it hasn't happened yet, and there's been a lot of opportunity, and there hasn't been anything successful yet. So I am more than happy to follow these companies that people like Devil Touch have been introducing. I'm more than happy at looking at that. But to say that they're out there as evidence that there is a decentralized economy is just not true. Simply not true. Dex for sure says, depends entirely on what point you fall in love in a tech. If you were lucky enough to buy in early on, then that belief system will serve you well, better than being hesitant and selling too early. That's true, but any tech that is worth its salt that eventually evolves and gets beyond those stages, there will be plenty of opportunity to delve into that tech. There are always early adopters and risk takers that may or may not realize the profit potential, because, well, that's what they do. But that doesn't apply for most people. All right. So I'm going to cut this program short here. I try to keep it under an hour. I'm going to be doing this show every day, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. I will try to pick topics that you're interested in. If there are topics that you're interested in, please suggest them, and we'll cover them in each show. I also plan to cover other topics besides just purely crypto, but I'd like to keep them crypto related. I also want to ask you, please, to share this video, subscribe to Trader of Futures YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed already. I'll try to keep it real there. I am going to spend more time on this whole idea of being a skeptical thinker, using logic and reason and critical thinking. I think that is so important, and we all so much lack that. And if that's one thing that I can pass on, I feel like my job's been done. But anyways, all of you, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next video. We'll see you tomorrow.